Welcome to Yoga with Rebecca Jane. This is Rebecca Jane. So we're on our first session of 5. We will be focusing on the Sacral Chakra, which is the second chakra. Last 5 sessions were on we concentrated on the root chakra, which is at the very bottom at the tailbone space, and we're now working our way up a little bit higher to just below the navel. So it's our reproductive organs, it's our hips, it's our glute muscles, it's our lower back. So these are the main parts, and as we progress over the next few sessions, you'll understand more about the organs involved and things like that. This chakra is associated with our sexuality, sensuality, sexuality, creativity, our emotions, our relationships beyond the tribal unit, the family unit, but our friends and acquaintances and lovers. So there's a lot to this chakra, and it's very, very powerful in many ways. It takes us out of the survival mode to some degree, because when you're in the sacral chakra, there's still that survival piece, of the survival in terms of passing on genes. That's what I mean, in terms of procreation. But it's also survival of, just human nature, that creativity is a huge part of, not just human nature. Many animals are creative in their own way. But when you think of birds, the way they build their nests, so creativity is still part of our animal nature. And it's also a part of humans that really is sometimes missing, to the point where it actually makes you feel quite empty if there's no creative outlet. Creative outlet doesn't mean necessarily being an artist. You think about painting or the typical types of creative outlets, painting or writing or things like that. But actually, creativity is in everything that we do. Creativity can be our cooking. It can be the way we solve our problems when it comes to work. It means being able to think outside the box. There's so much to creativity that it's good. It is. I have a friend who her creative outlet was riding her horses. So you might not think of that in terms of creativity, but that's creativity. So we will understand it in more depth. Today our main focus is pleasure. And I want us to explore the pleasure in terms of our yoga practice. So what does it feel like when we're in this one posture? Trying to find pleasure in it rather than pushing through something that's uncomfortable. We're going to be lots of hip openers when it comes to this chakra. But today in particular, there'll be a lot of opening of the hips. But finding what I call the term playing. That means that I might have my leg one way, and I might say, well, just play a little bit, maybe straighten the leg. And you can, you may or might not, depending on your flexibility, but also it's an opportunity to kind of explore your own body in a way, to see if you can go in different places with your body's shape. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So it's quite interesting. It's really a really fun class. It'll be a fun next 4 classes as well. So let's take a moment and let's root down. Let's return. Let's go home to our root chakra, back into that place of feeling stable and at ease in our seat. So the whole idea of you're coming home to reconnect with the earth chakra. I mean the element, which is earth for the root chakra. And let's lift up nice and tall, let's soften the shoulders down, and let's let ourselves connect with the breath. The element of the sacral chakra is water, which means flowing, and the color is orange. So orange and then the water. Let's take another 2 deep breaths in. And then as you exhale, let's gently flutter our eyelids and let's come onto our backs. And just take your time moving, transitioning. And once on your backs, just take a few moments here with the feet pointing to the feet on the ground, knees pointing up, and let the arms open out to the sides. Let's do just a few little gentle rocks from side to side. Loosening up those hip joints. This is something you can do every single day. Probably a little bit of this is a dynamic stretch. Just loosening up those hips, creating space for the hip joints, but also lubricating the joints. So coming back with your knees pointing up, let's hug your right knee into your chest. Let's take a few breaths in and take a few breaths out. Start with exhaling through the mouth to release extra tension. Place your right ankle on your left thigh. Now you're in this, what they call figure 4. Take your hands behind your thigh. Lift up your left foot. Come into a 90-degree angle. Or the other option is to actually hug your shin into your chest if that's available to you. Not all of us have that flexibility. And for this moment, reconnect with the breath and push your right knee forward as you draw your left knee in. Soften the shoulders down, let yourself just chill here for a moment. Enjoy the pleasure of this. And then from here, release your hands from behind your legs and place your left foot back on the ground and let both knees drop to the left. So your right foot is now touching the ground. This is a nice twist for the hip joint, slightly different than what I normally do. I usually go in the other direction with that top leg on when it's on top of the thigh, but this actually changes it gives you a little bit more of a hip opener. And then from here, you can take your left hand and grab hold of that right foot. Now, not all of us are going to be able to do that, so just leave things as they are. But if you can, lift your right ankle off your left thigh, and you can keep your left leg exactly as it is, open with the knee hovering off the ground. So we're continuing to work on that left hip. Otherwise, bring your right leg, and bring the heel in towards your left shoulder. So creating that, and then push that right knee forward. So that shape of that figure 4 with the right leg in an acute shape or acute angle. And then if you want to go a little bit further, this is the playing piece. Take your right leg and semi-straighten it. And maybe bring that leg over to the left and maybe bringing it up to the ceiling. It's just a playful moment. Just seeing how far you can go where it still feels good. And then from here, I want you to come onto your back and plant your left foot down with the knee up. And then take your right hand inside that right foot. And then bend that right knee. So now you're in half a happy baby with that knee outside your right shoulder. So you should feel this. And you can keep your left knee as it is, or you can extend it. And if you extend it, wake up that leg, activate that left foot. So as if you're standing on the ground, so actually flex that left foot, and turn on those thighs.
And let's take a few breaths in, and this will make a huge difference in how you feel. If you started off grumpy, you'll notice how different you feel after this. Now that right leg can stay at a 90-degree angle, or you could play here. You can straighten that right leg and bring that right foot towards your right shoulder, or keep it bent. You could create circles with that hip joint. You know, whatever just feels perfect for you right now. And then let's bring both knees in, hug your knees into your chest, little rocks and rolls from side to side. And then this time place your right foot down, and then place your left ankle on your right thigh. So the whole thing on this side. You kind of get you have an idea what to do now. Take your hands behind that right thigh and create a little 90-degree angle with that right leg, as if you're pushing into a wall with that right foot. Or grab hold of the shin. And as you're taking a breath in, as you exhale, the left knee pushes away as you draw the right knee in towards your ankle. And this is a hip opener. This should feel quite nice. And then take a breath in and release the hands from behind your right thigh, and then place your right foot back on the ground and let yourself drop your legs over to the right side with the left foot planted on the ground, and you're on the outer edge of that right foot. So take just a moment here just to adjust to this position. And then from here, take your, this is a maybe, you could take your right hand on that left foot, keep your right leg exactly where it is, or maybe bring it up a little higher, and then start to create a little 90-degree angle with that left leg as you draw your right foot towards your right shoulder. So this is the playful period. What do I want to do here? Do I want to create more of obtuse angle with my legs, so a little bit less acute, a little bit straighter, and bring the foot closer to my right shoulder? Do I want to circle my hips? Whatever feels good for you. Just explore. And then from here, place your left hand inside your left foot, and now your left knee is on the outside of that left shoulder. That right leg can stay flat on the ground with the knee pointing up, or you can extend that right leg on the ground and wake up that right leg as if you're standing, holding yourself up. So we're working on our bodies for the future postures we'll be doing in a few moments, just getting our hips warmed up. And here you can play too with that left leg. You can take it out to the side a little bit, maybe straighten it. Possibly, it's not going to get straight, it might be able to straighten it, but maybe keep it at a slight bend, or maybe stay in your half a happy baby. And then let's hug both knees into the chest. Let's do a little wiggles from side to side. And then we're going to do a rocking motion where you're going to lift your forehead towards your knees. Your hands are on the outside of those knees, and flex the feet. You're going to take a breath in and you're going to roll up. Just hover for a moment and then roll back. Make sure your chin is tucked so you don't touch the neck to the ground. You might not find this very easy, or it might be pretty easy for you. So you can go faster, you can go slower. Make sure you have room behind you. Tummy work, back work. Now from here, one more time, and then cross your ankles and come onto your hands and knees. If you didn't quite get that roll, don't worry about it. You have to have the momentum to be able to do that. And then however you can, come onto your hands and knees and sit back into your child's pose. So we're going to start moving into a gentle flow. Let's just keep the hands, reach them forward, forehead resting on the ground. Take a breath in and take a breath out. Let's take an inhale. Let's come into our tabletop. Let's exhale into our cat stretch. Let's inhale into our cow, just warming up our spines. Exhaling, rounding, and inhaling, arching into the cow. This time, take an inhale, come into a neutral spine. Slide your right leg back, reach it back behind you. And then bend that right leg, staying on that right side and opening the right knee out to the side. And then bring that knee back in, back down, so it's pointing downward, and then re-straighten that leg and then place it next to your left knee. So inhaling, extend your left leg. Exhale, bend your left leg. And then open it out to the side. And then take an inhale and exhale, re-bend, and then lower down. We won't straighten it the next time. One more. This time we're going to go a little faster. Take a breath in, right knee up, bent. We're going to keep it bent. Open out to the side. And then inhale back to center and lower down. So inhale, bend the knee. Exhale, open the knee to the side. Inhale back to squaring the hip down, and then knee next to your other knee. Let's curl the toes under. Let's take a breath in. You can stay in your extended child's, reaching your arms forward, or follow me into your downward dog. So remember what we just did, because we're going to do that in our downward dog, a little bit different. But if you can't do it in your downward dog, you know you can do the same thing on your hands and knees. So take a breath. Let's stay here for just a moment in downward dog and explore movement, and also maybe explore stillness. You might decide, I feel like being still today. Pleasure today is quiet, is to be here. I don't need to move. I just want to explore what it's like to micro-adjust my body according to what it needs. So wherever you are, come back to stillness and bring your left leg in towards your right foot and reach your right leg up to the sky. Now you can do this on your hands and knees. I'm going to open up that right hip, stack your right leg over your left, and bend your right knee. And take a few breaths in and out, looking maybe under your left arm, right arm, doesn't matter, either one. Taking an inhale and then re-straightening that right leg, squaring the hips to the ground, and then step your right foot to the outside of that right side of the mat. Outside of that right hand, on the outside of the mat. Bring your left leg to the left side. So both, they're not hip distance, they're actually wider than hip distance, the legs, if that makes sense. And then from here, we're going to do something quite interesting. You're going to flatten out that back foot as if you're in a very wide warrior two. And I want you to walk your hands on an angle to the left side of the mat, as if you're trying to go get as far forward as you can, but at the same time, press into the heels and the inner edges of the feet, heels, inner edges, outer edges of the feet. Lift your tailbone up. Come onto those fingertips. You can always use blocks here. This is an unusual stretch, but quite effective for the hip joint. Walk your hands back now. So now the fingertips are pointing to the front of the mat. Your legs are still wide, but this time slide your left leg back. Come onto the toes of that back foot and lower your left knee down, or you can keep it up. You decide. You'll decide, as you do this. We're going to straighten our front leg, even though it's on an angle, and we're going to bend. So we're straightening, and your foot is to the right side, outside of your right shoulder. Inhaling forward and exhaling, folding over. Take an inhale, bend. And this time exhale, curl the back toes under. Pick your left knee off the ground, step back into your downward dogs. So you can decide here, you're going to take a child's pose, or you're going to follow me through vinyasa, where we're going to inhale into our planks. And you can lower the knees down if you wish. Take a breath in, hinge forward, and then lower down, chaturanga, all the way down onto your tummies. So if you're in child's pose, just slither forward onto your tummies. Take your hands out to the sides. The corners, come to the corners of the mat. Elbows are bent, but they're pointing not up to the ceiling, but out to the sides. Take a breath in and lift up. So now the arms can be straight, or there's a slight bend to the elbows. Take an inhale and exhale, lower down. Then inhale, reach up. Peeling open your chest, squeeze those bottom cheeks. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale, lifting up. And then exhale, lowering down. Ooh, nice shoulder work. And then slide the hands next to the chest, curl the toes under, lift onto those knees just for a moment, into your plank, and maybe lift your knees back up if you want a little bit more, and then exhale, downward dog. Take a breath in, and take a breath out. This time, bring your right foot in towards your left foot, and you can do this on your hands and knees. Lift your left leg up to the sky. And then stack your left leg over your right leg. You're peeling open that left hip so it's pointing to the ceiling. And then bend your left leg. So you're going to try and kick your left foot into your right bottom cheek. Look under your left shoulder. Or if you wish, you can look under your right or down to the ground. Breathing in. And then as you breathe out, re-straighten your left leg and square the hips to the ground and step your left foot to the outside of that left hand. Yeah? Take your right foot, slide it all the way out to the right. So now you have a big wide space between your legs. Flatten out that back foot. So I'm going to do it from this angle. You stay where you are. And feet are wide like that. And you're going to walk your hands to the right side of the mat on a diagonal. And left knee is bent. Left knee is bent. Right leg is straight. You're in that warrior two shape with the legs, and drop your head. So a little bit different from what we've done. All learning, we're learning new things. So breathe in and out. And then take an inhale and exhale. Walk your hands back. So now the fingertips are pointing, their shoulder distance apart, pointing to the front corner of the mat. You can decide to lower that right knee down if you'd like, or keep the knee up. And then bend, your left knee is bent, and then straighten. So you're actually folding forward rather than over the leg itself, in between the legs. Fold. And so this, if you're wondering, what are we doing here, which I'm sure you're probably not, all hip uppers. Pretty much everything we're doing today. And then rebend your left knee. This time I'm going to have you heel toe that left foot a few inches to the right. Bring your right knee just a little bit closer inward, so now you're in a hip distance apart, and step your right foot to the left, meeting at the front of your mats. Take a pause here in forward bend. Cradle the elbows with your hands. Let the breath, if you've lost your Ujjayi breath and there's no breath at all, or it's choppy, come back. Deepen the breath, inhale and exhale. Then release the hands from the elbows if you're cradling your elbows, and let's gently roll ourselves up to our mountain pose, all the way up, slow, slow, slow. So from here, we're going to be doing a standing balance. It's called a pigeon. It's a pigeon standing balance, and I'll show it from a side angle so you can see first. You're going to be using your left leg as the standing leg, but soften the knee, or bend it quite dramatically actually. But you can, I'm going to have you place your right ankle on that thigh, but if you cannot do that, cross
that right foot in front, okay? You can always use a wall. So here you are, and you're going to start to sit down on an imaginary chair, pretty high chair, a bar stool, and then bring your hands down to the ground. And not all of us can do that, so this is where the blocks are very, very handy. Or if you don't have blocks, a table, yeah? Or you just stay up. So there's options to everything. And then just take a few breaths in and out, feel this wonderful stretch. And then what we're going to do, which is quite unusual, this is not something you see all the time, as you lift up, you can either keep that right leg on your thigh or bring it with you, that right leg. So lift it up with your hands. So if you're picking up a baby off your thigh. And then from here, I'm going to have you take that right hand on the left ankle and place it inside your left thigh. And now you're in a tree pose. So